Good morning, dear students. Today we are covering three important topics. The first topic of discussion is how is the tool of tax planning is exercised. Secondly, we move to types of tax planning, and the last topic of today's discussion is common mistakes people make regarding income tax planning. Now we can just recollect what is tax planning, which we discussed last day. Tax planning is an arrangement of one's financial affairs in such a way that without violating any legal provisions of the Income Tax Act of 1961, full advantage is taken of four things. What are the four things? Exemptions, deductions, rebates, and relief permitted under the Act. So, by availing these four pillars, these four provisions of the Act, if a person is reducing the tax liability, minimizing the tax burden, which is called tax planning, and the Act, Income Tax Act of 1961 provides 200 such provisions for minimizing the tax liability. Okay, now we are moving to our first topic. How the tool of tax planning can be exercised. That is the first topic that we are discussing today. So, tax planning should be done by a person only after considering the following factors, important factors to be considered while making a tax plan. The first thing is tax planning should be done before the accrual of income. Any planning done after the accrual of income may lead to the application of income. For example, if a person is opting for accrual basis, then he should record the expenses and incomes properly for availing the tax benefits. The Act allows for a wide range of exemptions and deductions. Also, the deductions are available from Section 80C through to 80U and can be claimed by eligible taxpayers for minimizing the tax burden. Timing income and expenses can be a little more challenging for accrual basis taxpayers than for cash basis ones. But being an accrual basis taxpayer also offers valuable year-end tax planning opportunities when it comes to deduction. So for properly availing the exemptions and deductions, the person should be aware of tax planning activities at the time of accrual of income and expenses. Second thing that is to be kept in mind at the time of tax planning is it should be resorted at the source of income. Third one, the choice of an organization. For example, a sole proprietorship firm or a partnership firm or a company form of business, the entity which is liable for taxation, that should be properly be selected. If you are a sole proprietor, the tax liability is different from a partnership firm. Or if you are doing a partnership form of business, the tax liability is different from a company form of business. So which form of business is to be followed should be decided in advance while after considering all the tax benefits. In your UG classes, you studied the deductions from 80C to 80U. In that case, you studied that the choice of location of business, nature of business, etc. will affect the tax liability of a particular organization. Suppose if you are going to start a business in northeastern states, if you establish your concern in northeastern states, which will give you lots of tax benefits. If you are doing a particular kind of business, infrastructural development business, or a waste management business, or a star hotel business, these different kinds of businesses are having different tax benefits, different tax holidays. The location of business, the type of business, everything will decide the tax liability ultimately. So before starting a business, you should select the location, you should select the type of business after considering the tax liability, so that you can reduce the tax liability to the maximum extent possible. And next one is the residential status of a person. Residential status of different necessities we learned in our UG classes. Residential status of a person depends upon the number of days stay in India. You studied the basic conditions and additional conditions. There are two basic conditions and two additional conditions. If a person is satisfying any one of the basic conditions and two additional conditions, the person is said to be resident in India in the previous year. In the previous year, we are checking whether that person is satisfying these two conditions. Right? If a person is satisfying one of the basic conditions but could not fulfill any of the two additional conditions, or two additional conditions are not satisfied, that person is said to be not ordinarily resident. If a person could not satisfy the basic condition itself, that person will be a non-resident. So the tax liability, the implication of tax is highest on ordinarily resident, a little bit lower on not ordinarily resident, and lowest on non-resident. So for reducing the tax liability, what we can do with the residential status? For minimizing the burden, the person should be a non-resident. So if a person wants to reduce the tax liability on the basis of residential status, he should manage the days of stay in India. He should not be in India in the previous year for 182 days. If that person fulfills that condition, he will be resident, maybe ordinarily resident or not ordinarily resident. So if he arranges his journey and stay accordingly, he can be a non-resident. If he is a non-resident, the tax liability is minimum compared to ordinarily and not ordinarily resident. For other assessees also, for example, if that is a company form of business, the residential status we also decide for companies also, right? So in case of companies, if that is a domestic company, if that is a resident company, the tax liability is less compared to the foreign company. So for before starting the previous year, you should decide in advance which residential status actually we want to have. That is actually working out in the case of an individual, right? Next factor that is to be considered while tax planning is choice to buy or lease an asset. We know that if you purchase an asset, you are eligible for depreciation. If you lease an asset instead of purchase, the lease rentals are eligible for tax deduction. Is it? If you are the owner of the asset, if you are purchasing the asset with borrowed capital, there are two kinds of benefits you are eligible. You can purchase the asset with borrowed capital. At that time, the interest is eligible for tax. At the same time, you are eligible for depreciation. So, two things you can debit to your profit and loss account, interest and depreciation, which will minimize, which will affect the profitability of the company. Means interest and depreciation is having a tax leverage, tax benefit, so that you can maximize the earnings per share available to the equity shareholders. Likewise, in case of leasing, the lessor is eligible for depreciation, but the lessee is not eligible for depreciation, but he can debit lease rentals to the profit and loss account for reducing the tax liability. After tax, profits will be reduced. So which option, whether the purchase of the asset or leasing of asset, which one is giving you maximum benefit of income tax? Means minimum tax liability should be adopted. This is to be decided in advance before buying or before leasing the asset, right? And one more important factor, that is the capital structure of the organization. How the capital structure affects the tax liability of a company, of a person. Capital structure. What are the capital structure theories we studied? There are 4 theories of capital structure. Capital structure means the composition of debt and equity capital in the capitalization of the company. In the total capital of a company, what is the combination of debt? What is the combination of preference? What is the combination of equity? That is the capital structure. How a capital structure decision affect the tax liability? Suppose if you are going for debt capital, 50% debt capital instead of 100% equity, in case of debentures, you are liable for paying interest. So the debenture interest is eligible to be deducted in profit and loss account for computing the taxable income. If that is a full equity firm, you are having no such benefit, means that is trading on equity that you studied in financial management. If you are having more equity than debt capital, you are trading thick on equity. If you are having debt capital, so there should be a compromise between debt and equity. Which capital structure is better? That all those things you studied in financial management, Modigliani Miller approach, the traditional approach, everything you studied. Net income, net operating income, 4 theories of capital structure, that is also to be studied here. Then only we will be able to evaluate how the capital structure decision affects the tax planning of a person. So we finished our first topic of today's discussion. We can move to our second topic, that is about types of tax planning. Tax planning is divided into 3 types: long range and short range tax planning, permissive tax planning, and lastly, purposive tax planning. Now let us see what is long range and short range tax planning in detail. First of all, we check what is short term tax planning or short range tax planning. Short range tax planning means the planning thought of and executed at the end of the income year to reduce the taxable income in a legal way. Normally, people think of tax payment at the end of the previous year. So at that time, if a person is making some kind of investments using some of the provisions of Income Tax Act for reducing the tax liability, which is called short range tax planning, means he is not deciding in advance what are the items in which, what are the avenues in which I can save. That is not decided in advance. Only at the end of the previous year, the person think of which investment avenue I can explore for reducing the tax liability in case of short range tax planning. Long range tax planning means a plan chalked out at the beginning of the income year to be followed around the year. This type of planning does not help immediately as in the case of short range planning, but is likely to help in the long run. For example, if you are a salaried employee, you are having income for this year. This year means 2020-21. This is the year in which you are earning income, so that is the previous year. You are liable for paying tax during 21-22 assessment year. Suppose if you are employed now, you are receiving income from the first day of April of 2020, you can make a plan before 2020 1st April. So on the basis of that plan, monthly you are saving some amount, monthly you are depositing some amount in your PF, monthly you are purchasing National Savings Certificate, monthly you are paying LIC premium. If you are doing in such a manner, if you are having such a practice, which is called long range tax planning, you are doing your planning at the beginning of your income year, means your previous year. Clear now? You are not thinking of the tax liability now, but you are thinking only at the time of the end of the year. At that time you have to pay tax in advance, income tax in advance. Income tax is to be paid in advance, right? So at that time, February 2021 or first day of March of 2021, you are thinking like that, I have so much tax, 60,000 I have to pay. So what I can do now, if you are thinking so and you are making some provisions of Income Tax Act for reducing your tax liability, which is called short range tax planning. I think the difference between these two, long and short range tax planning, is clear now. Now we can check an example for long range tax planning. Suppose if an assessee transfers his shares to the minor son or spouse. If that person is transferring his shares to minor son or to this spouse, the income from such shares, income from shares means the dividend is taxable in the hands of the person who is transferring it according to the provisions of section 64, clubbing of income, right? But how the tax planning is possible here? If the dividend income is 10 lakh rupees, for example, which is included in the income of the assessee who is transferring the shares, not in the taxable, not in the hands of the minor son or in the hands of spouse. So if the spouse or minor son is investing that 10 lakh rupees somewhere else in the market and receiving some income out of that, that income will be 10 lakh is invested at 10%, 1 lakh is received by the minor son or spouse, which will be taxable in the hands of the minor son or spouse. By that way also a person can plan his tax liability and can reduce the tax burden. Now we are moving to the next type of tax planning, that is permissive tax planning. So what is permissive tax planning? The name itself suggests what is permissive tax planning. Permissive tax planning means making plans which are permissible under different provisions of the law, such as planning of income covered by section 10. Section 10 means exempted incomes. So a person, if availing the permissible provisions of the act, only taking the advantage of the act, which is called permissive tax planning. You don't be confused with short range or long range tax planning and permissive tax planning. Short range tax planning and long range tax planning, if that is done with the only availing the permissible provisions of the act, it's called permissive tax planning. So here the planning conforms to the law provisions of tax. It means here the assessee conforms to the provisions of Income Tax Act of 1961. And last one is purposive tax planning. It means making plans with a specific purpose to ensure the availability of maximum benefits to the assessee through correct selection of investment, taking suitable program for replacement of assets, varying residential status, and diversifying business activities and income. So what do you understand? What is purposive tax planning? This tax planning is exercised by the assessee with some specific purpose. With some specific purpose, if you are planning your tax liability, you are doing something, you are making use of some of the provisions of the Income Tax Act, which is called purposive tax planning. Sometimes this tax planning method may be based on the loopholes in the law. If a person is doing tax planning by availing the loopholes, tax planning is changed to tax avoidance that we discussed last day, right? Now we are moving to corporate tax planning, which is closely related to the different types of tax planning. Corporate tax planning means tax planning of corporates. So what is it? This is the way of lowering liabilities on a registered company. Means if a company is reducing, if a corporation is reducing, minimizing, want to minimize the tax liability, for that they are making some tax planning options, which is called corporate tax planning. Corporate tax planning activities generally seek to avoid legally triggering tax costs rather than illegally evading an existing obligation to pay taxes. So here we assume that all our corporates are very good citizens. They are availing only the permitted provisions of the act. They are not evading tax. They are doing their tax planning properly. So if a company is doing tax planning, which is called a corporate tax planning. Now we are moving to our next and last topic, third topic of today's discussion, that is the common mistakes people make regarding income tax planning. First one is procrastination. What is the meaning of that word? If you are doing a short range tax planning, you are thinking of the tax planning options, tax planning provisions only at the end of the previous year, you are having some problem with your tax plan. That is actually procrastination. You are delaying your tax plan up to the end of the income year, up to the end of the previous year. Clear? No? That is not a good practice. Tax planning should be long range one. Second one is investing in insurance products for tax saving. We know that there are different investment policies, different investment avenues for saving our tax. You can go for provident fund, you can go for mutual fund units, you can invest in post office, you can purchase equity linked insurance scheme, equity linked mutual fund units, you can go for life insurance policies. What the life insurance agent may do, they will describe you, they will explain you all the policies, so you will be confused with which one is to be selected. So if you are not properly availing an insurance policy, you are availing an insurance policy for reducing the tax liability as it is having a benefit of deduction under section 80C. So if you are not choosing a policy properly, the tax benefit offered by the policy will be set off there. There will be a loss at the time of receiving the amount from the insurance company. So, investing in insurance products for tax saving without proper care will be a major mistake. That is a common mistake that people are doing while tax planning. And third one is, if a person is not considering the power of compounding through tax saving mutual funds, normally people are not doing that. You know the impact of compounding, or you know what is compounding and discounting that we studied in our financial management. A rupee received today is more worth than a rupee received tomorrow. So if you are investing in mutual funds, tax saving mutual funds, normally equity oriented mutual funds, that will be having a lock-in period of some 3 or 5 years, right? So, if you are not considering the power of these tax-saving mutual funds, equity-linked mutual funds, you are making a mistake. But while making an investment in the stock market or related the items related to stock market, you should be very much careful while choosing the units. Otherwise, you will lose the entire money. And last one is, we cannot say that is the last one. If people are making some more mistakes, which will also be a part of the mistakes that people make regarding tax planning. But here we discuss only the common mistake that people make while tax planning. Last one is failing to optimize all available options for tax saving. Means if a person believes that tax planning starts and ends with section 80C of the Income Tax Act, the only investment avenue for that person, the only tax saving option for that person is restricted to 80C. He is not aware of any of the provisions, any other provisions of the Income Tax Act. He is not aware of section 80E, 80G. Likewise, if a person is not at all aware of, person is only focusing on 80C for tax planning, that is another mistake that people usually do. So these are the common mistakes that people make while tax planning. So, ഇത്രയുള്ള discussion. I think everything is clear to you. If you have any query, you please let me know. Okay? Thank you for watching. Thank you.